Okay, so welcome back. In this video, we're going to look at the third part of finding difference quotients on that first problem on chapter 2. Um, this one is a little bit harder than the other one. So what we have here is a rational function. F of x is 1 over x plus 3, and we're looking to find the difference quotient. Okay, now the difference quotient is this, and remember you don't need to know this, they will give it to you. We're trying to find this and simplify it. So we're trying to do f of x plus h minus f of x divided by h. Okay, so let's start by finding out what f of x plus h is. We already know what f of x is, so we know this part, and h is just some number. Okay, so h is a variable, and f of x we know. We just need to find f of x plus h in order to use this. Okay, so f of x plus h would be, well, what do? I replace x in this equation with x plus h, right? Everywhere there's an x, I put x plus h. So if you'll note, in f of x, there's a x right here, so I'm going to put x plus h there. Okay? So that's my new equation. And if you want, you could put parentheses around x plus h if you want to, but it doesn't really matter with a sum. Okay, so that's f of x plus h. So now I'm ready to do the difference quotient. Well, my difference quotient is I take f of x plus h, which was this guy, 1 over x plus h plus 3, and then I minus f of x. F of x was equal to this, so 1 over x plus 3, and then divided by h. Okay. So this is my difference quotient that I'm wanting to find. Okay. And now we just need to simplify this. Okay. So what we are going to do, this is kind of a tricky one, but let's make one fraction in the top. We'll combine these two fractions up top to make it a little bit simpler. Okay, so I've got 1 over x plus h plus 3, and then minus x plus 3. So to combine these two fractions, whenever you're subtracting fractions, you need a common denominator. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a common denominator by, well, on that first one, I'm going to times the top and the bottom both by x plus 3. So that's the same as what's right here, so that I get an x plus 3 in the bottom. Okay, so I'm going to have 1 times x plus 3 timesing the top, and then the bottom here was x plus h plus 3, and I'm timesing that also by x plus 3. So I'm timesing top and bottom by x plus 3. And then on the other one, I'm going to times it by what's on the bottom of this one. Okay, so I'm going to times it by 1 times x plus h plus 3. Hopefully you can see that. Okay, so I'm timesing it on the top and bottom by x plus h plus 3 on this one so that I get both things on both of them. Okay, so x plus 3, and then, sorry, I don't think I can fit that in there, but x plus h plus 3. That would go in there as well. Okay, so I'm timesing the top and the bottom of these by what's on the other one. Okay, So what do we do here? Well, now that we have a common denominator in these two fractions, they're the same on bottom, we can subtract the tops from each other, okay? So we're going to do that. We just take this minus this, so we do 1 times x plus 3 is just x plus 3, so x plus 3 minus, and then 1 times x plus h plus 3. Okay. All divided by that same denominator, x plus h plus 3 times x plus 3. Okay. Oh, sorry, and this was all divided by h. I forgot to mention that before. Whoop. Okay, there was an h down there. Okay, so what do we end up getting? Well, we can simplify this top a little bit now. If you'll notice, we can look here, we have an x up top, we have a minus x over here, so those two cancel out. The 3 and minus a 3, those cancel out. Okay, so what I'm left with is just the h, but there's a minus in front, so we've got negative h divided by x plus h plus 3 times x plus 3, all divided by h. Okay, and now for our last thing, we're dividing two numbers, right? We have a fraction on top and kind of a fraction in bottom. We could think of this as h over 1. How do we divide fractions? Well, we get rid of this and we flip the bottom, right? So we just gonna times it by 1 over h, right? Keep, change, flip. Okay. Well, when we times these, it's really just the same as doing 1 times that and h times this, but you'll notice there's h on top and the bottom, so these can cancel out, and you're just left with negative 1 over x plus h plus 3 and times x plus 3. Okay, and that's as simple probably as you can make it. You could distribute out the bottom if you really wanted to, but that doesn't really make it better. So this is kind of a hard one, right? It kind of requires us to do some stuff that we did for rational functions to get this to work out. But hopefully kind of that helps. It's a very similar process. We're just replacing, we plug in x plus h for x into the equation, we subtract, and we simplify everything. The simplification here is the hardest part, okay? But hopefully that kind of helps with that difference quotient.